Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. Premier Li Chang today called on all countries to further open up markets instead of deliberately suppressing other countries in vicious competition. Li made the remark during a keynote speech at the opening ceremony of the China Development Forum in Beijing. And he stressed China will continue to pursue economic globalization. Samantha Lee reports.
The two-day China Development Forum got underway at Beijing Daoyutai State Guest House this morning. Premier Li Chang delivered a keynote speech at the opening ceremony. He said China has set an economic growth target of around 5% of the current year. The premier stressed the country's economy has strong resilience and great potential, and the country will step up efforts to attain the goal. He said the government had for the first time proposed some fiscal policies that are more proactive than before. The implementation of laws aimed at promoting the development of the private sector, accelerating the enhancement of the rule of law and the credit environment. Li also noted the global economic fragmentation is intensifying with instability and uncertainty on the rise. He said it is even more crucial for countries around the world to open up markets and for enterprises to share resources in a bid to meet challenges and achieve common prosperity. He said we are not against competition, but we should advocate for fair competition under internationally recognized rules, rather than zero-sum games or deliberate suppression of vicious competition by other countries. The premier added China will continue to pursue economic globalization despite changes in the external environment. While stressing the importance of foreign enterprises to China, Li said the Chinese government will further open up markets in the financial, medical, and educational fields. Over 750 international delegates have gathered in Beijing to take part in the forum, including representatives of 86 multinational enterprises. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Financial Secretary Paul Chan, who is currently in Beijing, attended the China Development Forum this afternoon. He delivered a speech during a panel discussion. Chan said protectionism and unilateralism were on the rise, bringing great uncertainty to the global economy. He said Hong Kong will continue to strengthen its relationship with Western markets while forging new ties with more mainland cities. Chan also expressed hope Hong Kong can become an artificial intelligence hub. Foreign Minister Wang Yi has urged Japan to strictly follow the 4 political documents between the two countries in dealing with the Taiwan issue. Wang met with the Japanese Prime Minister and Foreign Minister in Tokyo. Mimo Singai reports.
Wang Yi and his Japanese counterpart Takeshi Iwaya met in Tokyo on Saturday. Wang said China and Japan are close neighbors and their relationship holds an importance that exceeds bilateral scope. Speaking on the history and question of Taiwan, Wang said it must be strictly implemented based on the 4 political documents between China and Japan, including the China-Japan Joint Statement in 1972 and the China-Japan Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1978. Iwaya expressed Japan's serious concerns about various situations in the East and South China Seas, Hong Kong, and other issues. Meanwhile, Wang and Iwaya co-chaired the 6th China-Japan high-level economic dialogue, reaching consensus on 20 items in areas such as green development, elderly care services, and food safety. According to Kyodo News, the two countries confirmed the resumption of imports of Japanese aquatic products during the meeting. Iwaya urged China to resume Japanese beef imports promptly, as well as expanding the import of the country's rice. During Wang's visit to Japan, he also met with Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. Memos 9, TVB News.
The British government has ordered an investigation into the country's energy resilience. This after an electrical substation fire shut Heathrow Airport for almost a day. The British Energy Secretary Ed Miliband said he'd asked the National Energy System Operator, which oversees UK gas and electricity networks, to urgently investigate the fire. Miliband said the aim of the investigation is to understand any wider lessons to be learned on energy resilience for critical national infrastructure. It's expected to report initial findings within 6 weeks. More than 1,300 flights were canceled on Friday after an overnight fire at a substation 3.2 kilometers away cut power to Heathrow. The police said they do not consider the fire suspicious. The London Fire Brigade said its investigation into the fire would focus on the substation's electrical distribution equipment. In Canada, the Liberal Party announced the country's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, will run in an Ottawa area district as he seeks to join Parliament for the first time. This comes with Carney set to trigger an early general election today, with a vote being held on April 28th. The Liberal Party said Carney will run to represent the suburban Ottawa area of Nepean, noting Ottawa is where he raised his family and devoted his career to public service. The election campaign will last 37 days. The party that commands a majority in the House of Commons will form the next government, and its leader will be Prime Minister. The opposition Conservatives hoped to make the election about former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whose popularity had dramatically declined. However, the vote is now expected to focus on who is best equipped to deal with U.S. President Donald Trump and his trade war against Canada. Welcome back. Pope Francis is making his first public appearance in 5 weeks before being discharged from hospital today, where he survived a severe case of pneumonia. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Pope Francis was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital on February 14th with a severe respiratory infection that became the most serious health crisis of his 12-year papacy. While Francis will return to the Vatican on Sunday, his doctors said it would take a lot of time for his aging body to fully heal. The Pope's medical team said they had prescribed the 88-year-old pontiff 2 months of rest. They have advised him against taking any meetings with large groups or that require special effort. Francis, who is fighting double pneumonia, suffered 4 acute attacks of what the Vatican called respiratory crises during his time in hospital. Sergio Alfieri, the head of the Pope's medical team, said 2 of the crises had been critical, with the Pope in danger of his life. Alfieri added the pontiff no longer has pneumonia, but is also not completely healed from a complex infection involving several microorganisms. The doctor emphasized that while Francis had used non-invasive ventilation through a mask over his mouth and nose to help him breathe, the Pope had never been intubated during his stay in hospital. Alfieri confirmed Francis was still having trouble speaking due to the damage to his lungs and respiratory muscles, despite marked improvements in his condition. However, he said such problems were normal, especially in elderly patients, and that his voice was making good progress coming back, and predicted it would eventually return to normal. Francis will continue to take oral medication for quite some time to treat the fungal infection in his lungs and continue his respiratory and physical physiotherapy. Francis will have access to supplemental oxygen and 24-hour medical care as needed, though doctors hope he would progressively need less and less assistance breathing as his lungs recover. The Vatican declined to confirm the Pope's participation in upcoming events, including a scheduled audience on April 8th with Britain's King Charles III or Easter services at the end of the month. Dan Orell, TV News.
Clashes erupted between police and protesters in Istanbul on Saturday on a 4th day of demonstrations after the detention of the city's mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu. Police used pepper spray and tear gas to push back hundreds of protesters, many of whom hurled flares, stones, and other objects at officers. Istanbul officials said it was expanding a ban on demonstrations until March 26th and imposed restrictions on the entry and exit of vehicles. Hundreds of the mayor's supporters gathered in front of an Istanbul courthouse where he faced further questioning over allegations of corruption and terror links. Police questioned İmamoğlu for around 5 hours on Saturday as part of an investigation into allegations of aiding the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK. The mayor rejected all charges. Health Secretary Lo Chung-mao has urged the public to register for the centralized organ donation program to help patients and their families. Mimo Singhai reports.
Ms. Fong has gone through 2 heart transplants due to a congenital septal defect, a hole in the wall that separates the left and right ventricles of the heart. Feng's first heart transplant was in 2002, after 7 months on the waiting list for the procedure. The heart transplant proved effective for 21 years, until Feng's doctor advised her to undergo another transplant because of life-threatening ischemia. Feng's name again appeared on the organ donation transplant waiting list in 2019. In 2023, she managed to receive a second new heart. Sharing the experience at an organ donation gratitude event on Sunday, Feng said her life was saved by the two donors and their families. In the past 15 years, 569 deceased organ donors have saved the lives of 1,620 organ failure patients in Hong Kong. Between 2023 and 2024, 54 deceased organ donations took place, saving 138 people's lives. At the same event, Health Secretary Lo Chong-mao said organ donation can be seen as among the greatest acts of human kindness. He said nearly 400,000 residents have registered for the centralized organ donation program, which is a record high number. However, Lo said the figure is not high enough and urged more people to sign up. To promote an organ donation culture, the city's Academy of Medicine has established an organ donation task force team.
At the moment, and we have about 2,000 trainees under our training. So with the different 15 colleges, we hope that in their curriculum we can build in the concept of promotion of organ donation and also the benefit of organ transplantation. And you may ask, doctors should know about this. If you are not a specialist dealing with patients with end-stage organ failure, those doctors may not be well aware.
Hong Kong adopts an opt-in system for organ donation, requiring individuals to give explicit consent to donate their organs after death. Memo 9, TVB News.
The Rugby Sevens will take place at the Kai Tak Sports Park this coming Friday, where locals and tourists will be able to watch top teams from around the world compete for glory. The location of the sports park used to be part of Kai Tak Airport. This year also marks the 100th anniversary of the now defunct airport, which was considered one of the most dangerous airport landings in the world. Jackie Lin takes us on a journey back in time.
I have fond memories of Kai Tak Airport. At the opening ceremony of the Kai Tak Sports Park, superstar Andy Lau said he used to hear the jets whooshing past Kai Tak all the time, as he used to live and study in the neighborhood. Kai Tak Airport, world famous for its proximity to the hustle and bustle of Kowloon City, has entrenched itself in the minds of Hong Kong society as one of the city's most iconic landmarks. It is also known for testing the landing skills of inbound pilots. Captain Jack Ip, now a pilot trainer, recalled how nervous he was the first time he had to land at Kai Tak, adding that airline companies used to restrict inexperienced pilots from landing on runway 13. In 1925, Kai Tak Airport saw its maiden flight. Over the next few decades, the airport underwent phases of renovation and expansions in lockstep with Hong Kong's economic development. It was also the spot where many families bid the city farewell for the last time. Ms. Wang, who worked for Cathay Pacific, witnessed the city's earlier wave of emigration and recalled the emotional scenes at the airport. She says she will be more accommodating in assessing weight limit of these emigrants' luggage, as they might not have a chance to return to Hong Kong soon. She says their team was small back then, but their bond was strong. She hopes people can remember Kai Tak well, not just as an airport, but also as a place of memories. This Kowloon City resident said it was where people said goodbye to their loved ones, traveled and emigrated overseas. She said that sense of separation is not as strong today as more people take day trips by air. She said she was filmed by TVB News here alongside her father more than 20 years ago. Her father has passed away, but she said his love and their memories will always stay with her.
雖然當年嘅物業仲喺度，連飛機又冇飛機睇啦。
She added while some buildings remain, no more airplanes streak past the skies, so Kai Tak feels very different now.
我相信呢個體育園咧建設之後咧，
She believes the Kai Tak Sports Park will bring more tourists and visitors to the neighborhood. She hopes the government will build a museum commemorating the history, people, and moments of Kai Tak Airport.
Goodbye, Kai Tak, and thank you.
Jacqueline, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.